This sea creature looks so much like a Pokemon that it was named after one. Meet the Pikachu nudibranch. This cute slug seems like it would be pretty easy to spot, but it is very small, only reaching a max size of 2 centimeters, and it is distinguished by its yellow coloration and its similarity to the cartoon character Pikachu. It even has black-tipped rhinophores which resemble Pikachu's ears. Like many colorful nudibranchs, this one is found in the Indian Ocean and the Western Pacific, and it prefers shallow waters closer to the shore. The deepest that it has been recorded at is 62.3 feet. The Pikachu nudibranch mainly consumes algae, plankton, and small jellyfish. But in consuming jellyfish, these nudibranchs can steal their stinging cells, and this animal can secrete them on their back on organs known as serrata. Therefore, these are a toxic animal that can produce a sting. Maybe Pikachu should have been electric and a poison type. Meet the cutest seahorse out there, the pygmy seahorse. This tiny fish grows to a maximum size of just under an inch, or about the size of a human fingernail, and the species we are focusing on today is the Bargabant's pygmy seahorse, but they come in approximately 7 different flavors. They have rounded tubercles that match the color of whatever gorgonian that they live on. In fact, a single gorgonian can hold up to 28 pairs of these pygmy seahorses. While we are on the topic of home life, these animals have one of the smallest home ranges of any fish, not traveling farther than an area the size of a small dinner plate for any of their daily endeavors. These animals do not have any eyelids, therefore they can be quite sensitive to light. When photographing them, it is advised not to use flash. The males brood the eggs and give birth to as many as 34 young, each of which are 0.07 inches in size or less than 2 millimeters. This species in particular was discovered after a gorgonian was closely examined by a marine biologist after collecting it, and this animal was found clinging onto it. These animals eat small crustaceans, and they are threatened by climate change and the degradation of coral reef habitats where they are found. Meet yet another sea creature you've probably never heard of before, Neryphylla pareti. It is a foot-long worm that lives in waters around Europe, such as the North Sea or the Mediterranean Sea, and they are predatory and will search for prey in shallow waters in these regions. It's a type of annelid, or a segmented worm, and as you can see, there are segments if you look close up on its body. It is what is known as a polychaete, or a bristleworm that has bristles sticking out from its sides. More precisely, this species is referred to as a paddleworm because of the paddle-like protrusions on these bristles. These animals are found to be burrowing worms, and when it comes to mating, females will produce a pheromone to attract males, which in turn causes them to release sperm and then stimulates the release of eggs by females, a process known as swarming. After fertilization, most of these eggs will become planktonic, which means they will go with the flow of the water. As polychaetes, they have the ability to detect light, but their visual system is not complex enough to form images like our eyes do. Not much is known about this species, so more work definitely needs to be done. Meet one of the coolest sea creatures out there, the variable neon nudibranch, or Nimbrotha kubariana. These are types of sea slugs with very vivid green, black, and orange colorations. They have green gills with black branches off of them, and their rhinophores, which may look like ears to some, are orange or green in color, but most tend to be orange. This sea slug grows up to almost 5 inches long, making it a larger sea slug, but most of them reach an average size of 3 inches. They earned the name variable neon nudibranch because their colors can vary, but also their colors are so bright that they look like neon light. They commonly consume ascidians or sea squirts and then incorporate the toxins that these produce into their own bodies as a form of chemical mucus defense against predators. If you've been following me for a while, then you probably already know that nudibranchs will incorporate toxins into their body. However, if you're not following me and you didn't know this, go ahead and follow me. You'll learn lots about animals that you didn't know existed. Anyways, these nudibranchs are found on coral reefs in the Indo-Pacific and also on the Great Barrier Reef. These animals are simultaneous hermaphrodites, which means they possess both male and female reproductive organs. Nudibranchs, like this one, have radulas, which are similar but not quite the same thing as our tongues. These radulas have teeth on it and they use it to scrape and grab food, and as a dorid nudibranch, this sea slug gets oxygen from the gills on its back. Share this with a friend to blow their mind. Meet perhaps the creepiest sea slug out there, Malibe colmani, also referred to as the ghost nudibranch or ghost nudie for short. This recently discovered nudibranch is transparent and you can see the organs of the animal with the naked eye. It resembles a pile of strings that moves, and it was first observed in 2008 and later described as a species in 2012, making it a fairly new species to science. They have rhinophores on their back, and their body consists of branches of tubes that are digestive gland tubules that are interconnected throughout the animal's body. This slug uses a type of extendable oral hood which acts as a net to grab and trap prey, which is different from how most nudibranchs typically feed on sessile or tiny animals that move slowly. Many photographers refer to this as the holy grail of nudibranchs, and they are very, very difficult to spot. And they are only around 4 to 5 centimeters in length, so they are pretty small. It is a fairly rare species that has been found in Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines, but it is likely found pretty frequently in the Coral Triangle as well. But this phantom nudibranch likely evades being seen by humans very easily. Meet the praying mantis of the sea, also known as the skeleton shrimp. These animals are amphipods under the family Caprellidae, and there are around 100 different species of them. They earned the nickname from their 2 powerful front legs, which look similar to a praying mantis's claws, and they help them capture food. These animals don't get larger than 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters in length, and they spend their life clinging onto algae, bryozoans, or hydrozoans. And their very thin, stick-like bodies help them to blend in with their surroundings very well. They come in a variety of flavors, from yellow to pink to green to red to more. They mainly consume detritus and small filtered food particles that drift through the water, and in some skeleton shrimp species, the females will kill the male after mating, which is similar to what praying mantises do. Coincidence? I think not. These alien-like creatures move in a very odd way as well. They grab with their front legs and bring their back legs towards them, moving kind of like an inchworm does. Skeleton shrimp can also collect food with their antennae by filter feeding, and mating can only happen shortly after the female has recently molted and her skin is still soft. Meet the sea pin, a type of invertebrate closely related to sea anemones that resembles a feathery quill pin, hence the name. Fossil records suggest that this animal has been around for around 540 million years, and there are several different species that exist today, coming in many different flavors like orange, white, and yellow. Many sea pins will glow green if they are stressed, but scientists don't really know why. These are colonial organisms made out of several individuals known as polyps. The primary polyp is the stalk of the sea pin that helps anchor the whole thing to the seafloor. The other secondary polyps make up the various branches of the animal and have different functions. Some help with reproduction, some help with catching plankton as prey using nematocysts on their tiny tentacles, and some help ventilate the colony by pushing water in and out of it. Some sea pins reach more than 6 feet in height, and some can also live to be 100 years old. Nudibranchs and sea stars will sometimes feed on these animals, and sea pins are distributed worldwide in tropical and temperate waters. Most species prefer deep water, sometimes as deep as over 6,000 feet deep or 2,000 meters. Meet the giant deep-sea version of the roly-poly, the giant isopod. This giant arthropod is related to the pillbug, or as many of us know it as, the roly-poly. This animal gets up to 16 inches in length and scavenges the deep-sea floor looking for carcasses and other types of debris that sinks its way to the bottom of the ocean. They are found in the western Atlantic and the Indo-Pacific Ocean at depths of up to 7,000 feet. There are thousands of species of isopods, and this one happens to be the largest. The giant isopod was discovered in 1879. However, there is still so much that we have yet to learn about this huge deep-sea roly-poly. They can swim as well, using its fan-shaped tail called a uropod, and also by using their pleopods, which are swimmerets that also happen to help them with respiration. To find their way around in the deep sea, they have rather large eyes and 2 sets of antennae, a short and a long pair, with the long pair reaching almost half of their body length. This animal is a prime example of the phenomenon known as deep-sea gigantism, where deep-sea animals have evolved to much larger sizes than their relatives that live in other habitats. Scientists don't exactly know what causes this, but there are 2 rules used to explain it. Kleiber's rule says that animals that are larger in size are more efficient, and Bergman's rule states that marine life that lives in water that is colder tend to be larger in size. Meet the scariest worm on the planet, the bobbit worm. It's a type of polychaete worm that is an ambush predator that has its body buried beneath the sand, waiting for small fish to swim right over its jaws. By the way, did I mention that this worm can reach up to 9 feet long? They can be light orange to purple or blackish in coloration with some iridescence on the outsides of their bodies. They do not possess eyes, but they have 5 antennae that they use to detect motion, and once a fish brushes over one, the bobbit strikes with such velocity that sometimes the prey item could be cut clean in half. Once the prey item is grabbed, it is pulled into the bobbit's lair for consumption. This nightmare noodle is found in most tropical oceans, and there is still much that we do not know about them, such as their reproductive behaviors. It is believed that they likely have very long lifespans, though. They have bristles that run all the way down their bodies that help keep them secured in whatever sediment they are buried in. Many fish species do not appreciate the bobbit's bad behavior, and therefore some fish will try to reveal the bobbit's hiding spot by using their mouths as a type of sea jet, blowing water at the sand where the bobbit is hiding, which kind of reveals it and also annoys the bobbit and sometimes makes it retreat to a new location altogether. Meet the eel with teeth that look like broken glass, the Fangtooth moray eel, also known as the tiger moray eel or the bird-eye conger eel. Found in the Mediterranean Sea and the eastern Atlantic, this eel grows to almost 4 feet long and eats fish, shrimp, and other crustaceans. Despite the menacing appearance, having a mouth full of teeth that look like broken glass, these eels are actually quite shy and will only bite if they are provoked. However, it should be noted that they do have a very nasty bite, so I would advise against provoking them. Oftentimes, cleaner shrimp are seen in their mouths, cleaning out any parasites and food scraps that could be bothering the eel, and in return they get protection from the eel. They have 2 rows of teeth, with the outer row being larger and reaching an inch long, and the inner row is very sharp, which is helpful with a diet consisting of crustaceans. They typically spend their time hiding in rocks on the seafloor at depths of up to 60 meters, searching for food, and not much is really known about these eels, as I was having trouble trying to find information about them, so more work definitely needs to be done on this really cool, underrated, scary species of eel. Did you know that this animal has less than 60 recorded sightings in the wild? Meet the prettiest ray out there, the ornate eagle ray. This golden colored ray is very rarely seen and does not have a stinging barb on its tail. This ray can have a wingspan just shy of 8 feet, and like other species of eagle rays, this one can breach several feet out of the water. It is found throughout the tropical Indo-Pacific and the Red Sea on coral reefs and muddy banks. They feed primarily on mollusks and crustaceans, using their hard teeth to crush their prey. They reproduce ovoviviparously, with the eggs developing and hatching within the female, and then later 4 to 6 live young are birthed. Unfortunately, this ray is classified as endangered, with a decreasing population due to commercial fishing. This ray and other rays like it are hunted for their meat. The patterns on this ray are unique to each individual, almost like how our fingerprints are all different. There are many citizen science projects regarding seeing this ray, and lots of work needs to still be done. There's not that much information on this super rare species out there, so I would love to see some more information on it in the coming years. Did you know that this fish spends more time on land than in the water? Meet the mudskipper. This fish loves to hang out on mangrove roots or rocks and look for their prey, which consists of insects, crustaceans, and worms. There's around 25 different flavors of mudskippers, and they breathe through cutaneous respiration, where they capture oxygen from the air through their skin and also through their mouth and throat, which has capillaries that can take in oxygen. For this to occur, the mudskipper must be wet, however, which is why these fish are oftentimes seen rolling around in mud to keep moist. They can also use their gills to trap water and store it for longer-term oxygen use. They do this by going to bodies of water and taking large gulps of it. They use their pectoral fins to help them walk on land and propel themselves forward. They can also skip, hence the name mudskippers. They can skip on land by rapidly bending their tails, causing them to launch into the air, which is a behavior known as a sea start. Lots of mudskippers will also create long, complex burrows in the mud in between tides to help them hide from predators or rest. Meet one of the cutest animals that you didn't know existed, the sea sheep. They are also called leaf sheep or leaf slugs. This sea slug uses photosynthesis and is one of few animals that actually does so. These little guys only reach a maximum size of 1 centimeter, and it has these 2 little black eyes and 2 rhinophores, which look like antennae or, to some, sheep's ears. These rhinophores help them navigate and find food in the water, and the sea sheep gets its green color from a rarely observed process known as kleptoplasty, where the animal can keep chloroplasts from the algae that it eats. In doing this, the animal can gain energy from photosynthesis as well, and these chloroplasts are found on the cerata found on the animal's back. This solar-powered sea slug was only discovered around 3 decades ago, but it appears to be doing just fine population-wise, and it is thought that there's not that many threats to this animal. It is able to blend in quite well to its environment, which it typically spends a lot of its time on green algae that it consumes, and this helps the animal stay away from predators. The Spanish dancer is a type of nudibranch that spends time crawling around reefs, but when it's threatened, it can swim away and will flap its gills and other appendages to display warning colors. Some observers think it reminds them of flamenco dancers, which gives them the common name of Spanish dancer. They will eat sponges and concentrate the nasty compounds of some species into their own tissues to use as a chemical defense. They can grow up to 40 centimeters long, which makes them one of the largest sea slug or nudibranch species, and they are simultaneous hermaphrodites, which means that they are both male and female, but they cannot self-fertilize. They do require a mate, but after mating, the eggs require no parental care, as they are protected by the same compounds that are found in the sponges that their parents consumed. They have a lifespan of around 1 year, and they have a mutualistic relationship with emperor shrimp. The shrimp helps clean the slug, and in turn, the shrimp gets security by staying on the back of a large toxic nudibranch. Follow for more ocean content. Meet yet another cute sea animal that you didn't know about that also happens to look like a Pokemon, the sea bunny. They look like a fuzzy rabbit, and that is how it got the name sea bunny. They are a type of nudibranch, and the structures that resemble the bunny ears are rhinophores. They detect chemical changes in the water around them, and the fuzzy appearance comes from the papillae that covers most of their body. These serve as sensory organs. The animal comes in different flavors, such as white, yellow, or green, and it reaches an average size of about 1 centimeter. The sea slug mainly eats sponges, but they will also eat algae and small creatures like snails. The sponges that they do consume are indeed toxic, which in turn makes them poisonous as well, granting them extra protection from the predators that may want to eat them. They are found in tropical waters in the Indian Ocean, and they have a maximum lifespan of about a year. These animals are also hermaphroditic, which means they have both male and female sexual organs. Comment what you want to see next. Meet another sea creature you didn't know about, the sea angel. The sea angel is a swimming snail, and while it looks angelic and cute, this animal is a predator and feeds primarily on sea butterflies, another type of snail. Sea angels use a special structure called a buccal cone to remove them from their shell, which can take anywhere from 2 to 45 minutes. Sea angels don't get larger than an inch in size typically, and they use these wing-like structures called parapodia to swim gracefully through the water. These snails don't have shells. In fact, when they are born, they do have shells, but they undergo a change before adulthood where they shed the shell. They are transparent, which helps them hide from predators, and they are found typically in cold and temperate waters, depths of up to 2,000 feet. The orange or pink organs that are visible to our eyes are the gonads, and in Antarctic waters, a species of sea angel has evolved to produce a chemical compound that keeps fish away, which is interesting because this is the only example of a mollusk producing a chemical defense rather than stealing it from its prey. Meet one of the most mesmerizing animals on the planet, the feather star, an ancient wonder of the ocean. These enigmatic creatures belong to the echinoderm family alongside sea stars and sea urchins, but they've remained virtually unchanged for over 600 million years, even predating the dinosaurs. With up to 200 feathery arms, they gracefully capture food particles using mucus-coated tube feet that line these arms. Their central body, the calyx, houses vital organs, and remarkably, if an arm breaks, they effortlessly can regenerate it, just like their cousins, the sea stars. Some feather stars swim short distances using their arms, while others rely on their cirri, which function as legs. You can find them oftentimes in coral reefs. However, there are some deep sea representatives. These animals are either male or female, meaning that they're not hermaphrodites. They have separate sexes, and there's approximately 625 different species of feather stars. Do you think they're mesmerizing and think you could watch them for hours? Because I know I could. Follow for more ocean content. Meet another real-life Pokemon, Chromodoris lochi, or Lox Chromodoris. It's inspiration for Shellos and Gastrodon in the Pokemon world. This brightly colored and beautiful nudibranch sea slug eats sponges, and sometimes these sponges contain toxins that are built into their chemical makeup, which help keep predators away. However, this adorable sea slug is able to sneak past that and incorporate these toxins into its own skin and use it to its advantage. The sea slug is able to crush food using a structure known as a radula, and the rhinophores on the sea slug's head is used to help them locate prey and also play a part in reproduction. The rhinophores are the eye-like appendages on the head end of the animal, and these animals only get to be about 2 inches in length, but they are found in the Indo-Pacific region. They come in a variety of different flavors, with blue being the main flavor, but the gills and rhinophores can be white or orangish in coloration. They tend to have a fairly short lifespan, with some only living a few weeks or months, sadly. Did you know that this animal will cross-dress? Meet the giant Australian cuttlefish. It's the largest known species of cuttlefish, and they grow to over 1 meter in length. For those of us that are Americans, that's over 3 feet, and they're found along the coast of Australia. Cuttlefish are unique in the way that they can change their color and texture of their skin to match their surroundings. They eat crabs, fish, and other small animals. They have a short lifespan, only living around 2 to 4 years, usually dying after mating, which is what the majority of this video is focused on. During breeding season, giant cuttlefish males must impress the females in order to mate with them. They do so by making themselves appear large and pulsating their bodies with color. The larger, more colorful males are preferred by the females. However, small males have found a way around this. They cross-dress by acting like females and mimicking their colors and behaving like they do. They do this to avoid confrontation with other males, but once they get close enough to the females, they mate with them very sneakily. Females can store sperm from many different males, so she can choose which one's sperm to fertilize her eggs. Meet the cutest animal cheerleader out there, the pom-pom crab. It earned this name from the little pom-poms on its claws, which aren't actually pom-poms, but sea anemones. These stinging pom-poms help with fighting off predators that may try to eat the crab. It cheers or, well, threatens predators by waving the anemones around, and these crabs only reach an average size of 1 inch in width. They are found in the shallow waters of the Indo-Pacific, and they are sometimes called boxer crabs. The anemones and crabs can survive just fine without each other, but they are like best friends, and both animals get benefits from this relationship. The crabs can use the anemones like a mop, sweeping them on whatever surface they are on to obtain food particles, and then use their mouth parts to get them from the tentacles of the anemone. There is always some food left over for the anemone as well, so it is a win-win. In fact, these two animals have adapted over time to fit this symbiotic relationship. The crabs have smaller claws that are used for mainly holding the anemones, while the anemones lack pseudo-tentacles, which in some species help with photosynthesis, but they get plenty of food and energy by being a pom-pom for a crab. In some studies, it has been shown if a crab is missing one anemone, the crab will steal one from another crab by fighting them for it, and the loser will tear its anemone in 2 fragments, essentially creating a clone for his other claw. Did you know that bobtail squids have been to space? Before we talk about squids in space, let's talk about these cute animals, which are actually more closely related to cuttlefish than squid. These cute small cephalopods come in over 68 different flavors, and they are small, very small in fact. Adult bobtail squids typically don't reach more than 1.5 inches or around the size of your thumb, but they have really large brains proportionally to their body size. They have a relationship with bioluminescent bacteria that live within their light organs and help them camouflage themselves at night by mimicking the glow of moonlight. During the daytime, they are typically buried beneath the sand, and they use their arms to cover themselves with sand and remain hidden from predators, leaving typically only their eyes visible. Usually when a light is shined on them, they dart for the seafloor to bury themselves in it. They are also sometimes referred to as dumpling squid and typically eat small crustaceans like shrimp. Remember when I said they've been to space? That's right, 128 baby bobtail squids went to the International Space Station in June of 2021 as a part of a study looking at space travel on their bodies, and more specifically, if space has any impact on the relationship between microbes and animals, such as the bacteria's symbiotic relationship with these bobtail squid. What do you think? Is this the cutest cephalopod that there is? Did you know that this fish inspired a car? Meet one of the cutest fish out there, the yellow boxfish. This fish has a very small mouth which it uses to eat a variety of things such as algae, sponges, crustaceans, and more. The real challenge is just fitting it into their tiny mouths. Generally, these fish live a life of solitude because nothing wants to mess with them. Why? Their bright yellow color with black spots is an indicator that they may be poisonous to predators, which indeed they are. When they are threatened, they will blow themselves up and release a toxic cloud of pahu toxin, which will kill any fish in their immediate surroundings, including other yellow boxfish, hence why they live alone. Their body shape comes from these rigid bony plates, which also makes them harder to eat. As the fish grows, the spots become smaller and less visible, and they actually lose some of their yellow coloration. They're found on coral reefs around the Pacific and Indian Oceans. Their small box-shaped body allows them to turn very small circles and gives them the ability to maneuver a reef with ease. This fish was also inspiration for a car. Mercedes-Benz had a concept car named the Bionic, which had a body that was similar in shape to the yellow boxfish, and the idea was that this car would be self-stabilizing, similar to this fish. Unfortunately, the car never made it to market, but would you ever drive a car like this? What is this, you ask? Let me introduce you to the whalefish. This fish lives 3,300 feet or deeper in the ocean in a place called the Midnight Zone. Their eyes are so small and underdeveloped that they could not even form images if they wanted to. These fish actually rely on sensory pores that run down their bodies and around the fish's head. These pores allow the fish to detect movement in the water. Most fishes have these pores, but in whalefish they are unusually large. Why is it red though? Well, red light does not travel in the deep sea, therefore being red means you are virtually invisible. Also, if you are a male whalefish, you're kind of out of luck because male whalefish cannot open their mouths during their adult phase, meaning they can't eat. There's 30 species of whalefish that we know of right now, and the largest ones can get to 16 inches long. Their name comes from the fact that the fish kind of resembles a baleen whale. Follow to learn more about the ocean. The Atolla jelly resembles a UFO, and their existence revolves around the captivating phenomenon of bioluminescence. This particular species has a remarkable way of harnessing the light that it emits. Found at depths ranging from approximately 3,000 to 13,000 feet below the surface, these alien creatures inhabit a world shrouded in darkness. The Atolla jelly's bell can reach a maximum recorded diameter of about 8 inches, adorned with over 20 normal tentacles encircling its circumference. However, what sets them apart from normal jellies is the presence of a hypertrophied tentacle, which can extend significantly longer than the others. While its purpose remains unknown, this tentacle possesses the ability to retract and move towards the bell, leaving scientists intrigued about its role in either sexual reproduction or maybe even capturing prey. Speaking of prey, when threatened, these deep-sea UFOs unleash a stunning display of blue glowing light, serving as a distress signal to attract potential predators of their aggressor, a remarkable shift from predator to prey. To put into simple terms, the enemy of the enemy is my friend. This red squid has one small eye and one really big eye, and it lives between 660 and 3,300 feet below the surface of the eastern Pacific Ocean. The strawberry squid consumes shrimp, fish, and other squids, and their differently sized eyes actually help them hunt. The larger eye looks towards the surface to spot shadows that may be cast by prey from above them, while the smaller eye looks below them for flashes of bioluminescence from either predators or prey that's below them. The difference in eye size has also earned them the nickname of cockeyed squid. The reason for the red coloration is camouflage. In the deep sea, red light does not reach, therefore this animal appears black and is virtually invisible to most creatures, which helps them avoid predators. They also have small light organs that are spread out over their body called photophores, and they help mask their shadows from predators as well. This squid has an average size of around 5 inches, but they can reach much larger sizes, with one specimen in 2019 collected by NOAA reaching almost 40 inches in length. The goblin shark. This shark has a terrifying protrusible jaw that launches forward to capture its prey, and these sharks are around 5 feet long on average, but the largest recorded was almost 13 feet long and 463 pounds. Most goblin sharks have been seen around the waters of Japan, and they can be found in waters as deep as over 3,000 feet. These sharks sometimes appear as pink in coloration because their blood vessels are visible to the naked eye due to their translucent skin. They are the only living members of their family, and it is believed that these sharks have been around since the Cretaceous period. As a result of their poor eyesight and their habitat being in the deep water, there's nothing to worry about with these sharks, despite their frightening appearance. Meet one of the most beautiful fish species out there, the Mandarin fish. The Mandarin fish is a small, scaleless fish that reaches around 3 inches long and is found on coral reefs and shallow lagoons on the seafloor in the western Pacific. They are found in small groups, usually spread out over a small area, and they are classified as a dragonet, and the males are a little larger with a spined dorsal fin that they use for display. They actually will do courtship dances to try and woo the females. The mandarin fish does produce a toxic, bad smelling and bad tasting mucus, which compensates for their lack of scales and grants them a defense bonus. They consume small benthic invertebrates like amphipods, copepods, and they have a lifespan of around 10 to 15 years in the wild. They're typically a pretty shy fish, pretty passive as well, and they use their large fan-like pelvic fins to walk on the bottom. They're kind of hard to keep in an aquarium setting due to their very specific dietary needs. Make sure to comment down below what you would like to see next. The Humboldt squid gets to about the size of a human being and weighs about 100 pounds. This squid, like most cephalopods, can change its color very rapidly, often for communication reasons. It is named for where it is found in the Humboldt Current in the eastern Pacific Ocean. They are found in deep water, as deep as 2,000 feet, and this squid is very aggressive or curious depending on who you ask. They are pack hunters and live in shoals of up to 1,000. They go to the surface at night for feeding reasons and usually feed on fish and krill, but they have been known to cannibalize one another if food is scarce. They are also called Diablo Rojos, which means red devil in Spanish. These squid numbers are increasing and they are moving into locations where they normally aren't found because of the overfishing of their predators. Their hooked suckers are very powerful and are great at holding prey and moving it towards their parrot-like beaks. Females can lay up to 20 million eggs in a lifetime, and their offspring grow from 1 millimeter to 1 meter in just a year.